morning, ladies. And
Good
thank you for
morning.
joining the women's session. We will be discussing a lot about female angel investors, female founders and networks, and how we are building the ecosystem and how we want to, um, close out the funding gap that is so much in the wave of the news on the continent. With me today, I believe I have Isabel, Alexandra, and Duja. And I will just give them 1 minute to introduce themselves, introduce their networks, and then we'll take on the discussion from there. We'll start with Alexandra.
Thank you, Yemi, and thank you for having me join you on this panel. My name is Alexandra Fraser, and we have an angel network in South Africa called Dazzle Angels. It's a network for women angel investors, and we have a joint mandate to invest into female-founded or co-founded ventures.
Thank you very much, Alexandra. Isabel.
Well, Yemi, glad to be back. We met 4 years ago
Yes.
in Cape Town,
Yes.
just as you were launching Rising Tide Africa.
That's it.
And so since then, I'm a co-founder of Bo Angels, which is a Mauritius-based angel investing group, which was set up this year. And which is already 25 members strong. It is not a female focused angel group, but the fact is that we have at least 40% of our members who are women, and the first 4 deals that we've done are all either founded or co-founded by women. So this was a pure chance, but when we looked at the stats, we just hit the bullseye right there. And I'm also involved in Go Beyond Investing, which is a European-based angel investing group that goes back 10 years. And I'm really happy to be part of this panel.
Most welcome. And Duja.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be among you today. I'm Duja Harbi. I'm a co-founder and president of Damia, which is the first Tunisian business angel network in Tunisia, a women business angel network. We are 9 members founding this network in 2019. And actually, we are becoming around 50 members. So I'm very happy to be here today and to share with you our small experience on that. But all of us was working and are working on women empowerment and women entrepreneurship. And we came to this network because we feel the need to support women, particularly in access to finance. So happy to be with you today, and
Let's have a great chat.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, my name is Yemi Kerry. I run Rising Tide Africa. We are a group of female angel investors. We are galvanizing women to become angel investors and let them see it as an asset class. So we're actually promoting angel investment as an asset class because we believe that with women investors, female investors, we are able to empathize with female entrepreneurs, and we're able to also drive the movement to close the funding gap. So here we are today. And Alexandra, I know that you're also doing the African Angel Academy. Can you tell us a bit about that and how you see the female entrepreneurs' participation in the AAA?
Thanks, Yemi. So the African Angel Academy is an online platform that trains angel investors. It was launched in 2020, so last year, and is a collaboration between ABAN, the Victoria Business Angel Network, and Viridian, which is the company I run. It is a 12-module program and takes angels through a series of online modules, as well as supports us online education with masterclasses, virtual networking, and a whole lot of resources. So we've trained 212 angel investors to date across multiple African countries. And we're very proud to say that 50% of our angels who've participated in the program have been women. And what we are seeing, and this is not just with the African Angel Academy, but across the work that we do in terms of building ecosystems, is that gender representation is becoming more and more important for donors. And the grant funders and many of the funders that we work with, whether it's supporting the African Angel Academy or whether it's through entrepreneurship programs that we run in our kind of day-to-day business, female participation is becoming a critical priority for funders, and also becoming a success factor for programs. So a lot of emphasis is being made around gender inclusion in terms of participants, in terms of presenters, in terms of beneficiaries, and then in any of the showcases that we run with the African Angel Academy, having a number of female founded businesses being presented to angels is also something that's become important. And it's I think just a small example of how the entire ecosystem around angel investing is changing quite rapidly in terms of gender priority.
Yemi, you're on mute.
Is this clear?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Duja, you invest both in female and male entrepreneurs, but then would you say there's a difference when you're looking at the female entrepreneurs and the male entrepreneurs? And is there also a difference between male investors and female investors?
Indeed, it's a very, very important question. Thank you, Yemi. Yes, actually, we are investing in both, in women and in men entrepreneurs. But we try to have, if it's a company funded by men, we try to have like at least one woman in the funding members. Because we believe, and it's very important, that women has like a specific touch when she's conducting a business or she's leading a business. She has like different style of managing, and she's really, really looking for impacts. And this is very important for us. So we do prefer to invest in women. You know, in Tunisia, banks, they say that women are better, how to say, they reimburse better loans than men, and they are very regarding the deadlines and everything. So I believe that it's right, and we really want to invest in women for both reasons, at least. She's very, very committed when she led the business, and she will try to be very successful. She wants to prove somehow herself and to be very, very successful, and she wants to do the better job than she can. And the second thing is that really, even in Tunisia, we have like all our rights, and women are very advanced, but still in entrepreneurship, the figures are very low, and you have not more than 20% of women-led businesses, and perhaps less. I'm not sure of the figure, but it's not enough. And we see that, for example, we have like, and it's very interesting, you have a new law since 2019 called Label Startup Act. We have a label for startups, and we have more than 700 startups labeled. From them, we have only 4% of women or 5% of women. It's very few, it's very small, and we really want to enhance these figures, and to have more women in business and more women in funding startups.
Okay, thank you. Funding startups. But
Yes.
then maybe I should just string along this question to Isabel. What would you say are the benefits of investing as a female angel investor? I know we are in Go Beyond, and then also now the More Angels. So what is it that is a benefit of you being a female angel investor?
I mean, to be honest, I've never approached it like that, but the mere fact that when we are faced with a number of the companies that pitch to us are a majority of men-led companies. It's a mere fact. So when I shared before the statistics that out of all the deals that we've done now, I think that there's sort of a rapport that can be established when there's a women investor and a women entrepreneur. And that rapport, which probably in a way accelerates the due diligence process, because you reach the trust part very quickly. I think there's no beating around the bush about how you could help them and how they will accept that you help them. And part of what we're doing as angel investors is I'm not interested in somebody that only wants money. If they only want money, they can go see somebody else. And I don't want them, I'm not bringing in and saying, I know how to do it better than you. I'm here to say, if you need me, I'm here to help you. And we have a whole series of skills from women and non-women ready. And I think there's a greater acceptance of and reaching out to get the help. And one of the anecdotes is one of the companies that we've been looking at is, she was so happy and thrilled to see that when we pre-screened her, it was just women, because she had been faced with really rough situations. And that is something that I can't understand because I haven't faced it myself. But she seemed to think that sometimes when she is pitching, people have an attitude towards, and she's very young, to have an attitude towards her, which is something that it's already tough enough to raise fund. If you on top of that have to fight against some sort of preconception or somebody that thinks you're just very sweet, it makes that journey even more rough. So it's quite intangible. It's very much in the feeling and the relationship and the acceleration of the trust factor that is created when we approach the startups and they approach us.
Yes, but I won't say it's intangible because when I think that when these female entrepreneurs come into a room full of female angel investors, there is already that comfort zone that they're in, because the women are able to empathize. Because a lot of the female investors were already entrepreneurs or are actually still entrepreneurs, so they understand what the entrepreneur is going through. Duja, you mentioned the act, so maybe we should talk a bit about what our governments are doing to try and support the female ecosystem. I know for a fact that in Nigeria, we have started off galvanizing and advocating for the Nigerian startup bill. I think it's in collaboration with the ecosystem and the government. Actually, the presidency is driving this, and we have a voice on the table. And so that is part of what our government is doing. In there, we're trying to put bits and pieces for the gender factor. But I would want to know if your act or the government in Tunisia is also doing something similar.
Yeah, thank you for the question, Yemi. Actually, yes, our government in Tunisia is aware that the gap is big when it comes to access to finance for women. I would like to say also access to market. I think the couple of challenges they are facing, women are facing, are access to finance and access to market. And when it comes to the access to finance, I think that the government is very very aware of that, and they started first of all some years ago to create a line of credits for women entrepreneurs, which is the initiative of the Ministry of Women. And it's really dedicated to women, particularly in the region, and it was very successful because the needs were there, and we try to, in the same time, to motivate women to become like a led business person. I mean, to start their own business, and in the same time to help them to accede to finance. And this was good. After that, we have like a very dynamic ecosystem working on startups. And we had like a task force of private and public persons with the Ministry of ICT, I think, yes, with ICT and Minister of Finance. They worked on the law called Startup Act, and this law has as aim to boost startups and to give them like a very friendly ecosystem to go forward and to grow and to start. And in this law, we have many advantages like taxes, minimum of taxes. We have better access to finance and so on. And both of these programs focusing on women. Not only, of course, no, the second one, I mean, Startup Act is not focusing on women, but they try to have more women involved in and to have more women creating startups. And you know, startups is dealing with technology, and we have a lot of women. They are studying technology and they are engineering and they are coding and so on, but they are not visible. So it's really good to have this, to have an objective in this Startup Act is to find these women who want to launch the project, not only be in a team to launch a startup, you know. So yeah. Actually, they are doing very, very good with that. Right, I think it can be enhanced, it can be ameliorated, but actually it's good. And we have like good figures of startups highlighted in Tunisia, but we need to have more women. This is why we try to work on encouraging women and to identify women who want to set up startups and to launch their own business and to try to finance them.
Thanks, Duja. So Alex, I would want to ask you, so what do we do in encouraging more women to become angel investors?
I think it's really important that we work with all the different stakeholders in the ecosystem. So as Duja was saying, I do think there's a role for government to play in terms of creating an enabling environment for startups and for angel investors. And in South Africa, you know, we're in the very early stages of building a Startup Act. So I think part of it is also just generally making an enabling environment for anyone to participate in becoming an angel investor. And then in terms of getting more women to get involved in angel investment, I think it is important that women who are in this space also kind of reach out and connect with other like-minded women or women in the same professional circles or who would be able to add value to a startup. And while you know the capital is important, it's not the most important aspect of angel investing. As Isabel said, it's also about how do you leverage your networks, how do you bring your experience and your insights together to really support and help founders. And I think that's one of the joys of having an angel investment group, is that you can kind of combine your resources, and so the kind of entry into the angel market becomes a lot more accessible, because you don't necessarily have to fund the entire deal, but by also having a group, you can draw on each other's skills and expertise, and that's something that's really helped with our angel group Dazzle. But I think Yemi, what I'm really asking myself is, there seems to be a lot of transformation at the angel level in terms of increasing the number of women who are participating in the angel space. How do we get broad, or how do we increase gender representation around fund management and in the venture capital space? Because I think that's then the next layer. How does gender become important for funds, and how do we kind of enable the businesses that the women angel investors are funding to then reach the next layer and access additional rounds of capital? And that's something I think the industry needs to think about.
Yes, that is a very important part, because it's also.
Can I add something, Yemi?
Yes.
Just to say, just
go on.
very quickly, just to say that within the Startup Act, regarding the angel investment, there is incentives in the law saying that when business angel invest in startups, they will be exempted of taxes. So I think it's very good, and it will encourage to have more business angels in the ecosystem.
Yeah, yes, that would encourage it, but then also we have to deliberately look at the value chain. More and more, there's beginning to be a thin line between angel investments and the VCs, because we sort of start to compete for almost the same thing. There is a lot of co-investments, and I mean, angels are now doing Series A and putting in $500,000, and taking away that element that Isabel has spoken about, which is more or less your mentoring, your networking, and your coaching. And it is the onus is on us as the angels on the continent to be able to collaborate more amongst ourselves. And in terms of how we would get them ready for the PEs, I would let Isabel share her experience, because I think she's one of the most experienced amongst all of us here, having been in Go Beyond for a while, and leveraging on what has happened, because I know there's things like follow-on rounds that angels can have. But Isabel, what do you think we can do really on the continent to bridge that gap between angels, the typical angels, and getting them ready to go into Series A?
I mean, I've just recently joined the 535 Fund as a board member. And so I think there's one thing, it's being on boards is also something, and as a real governance element of the board, and as a way of sharing experience. It's not just being on a board for the sake of being on the board. And I think we already have not enough representation, even though a number of countries have established laws about that you need to have so many, a minimum of, and that's a problem in itself, because being on a board as a company grows is something which is more and more complex and involves more and more responsibility. So there's an educational part for that. Otherwise, I mean, recent ABAN shared its catalytic program, which I think is also another way of pushing for women entrepreneurship. And I think exactly what we're doing right here, which is showing that we exist, we are active, we find nice deals, and whenever we speak about, we share our experiences and the types of companies that we've invested in. And I think we shouldn't focus just on the women-led companies that we've invested in. We should show that we're also successful in investing in all types of companies, but that we're particularly proud when it is at least one woman is part of the team. And I mean, I do admit that as time goes by, when you see these all male teams, you're wondering why.
Why?
Where are they? You know? There used to be a time where you would see them and there was one woman in the middle and you thought, oh, that's the alibi, just because they have to tick a box. So today people don't think they have to tick a box anymore, but it does seem odd to us why in a team of 3 is there not one at least? It's just, so I think that highlighting that, and whenever we invest in companies, making it be understood that we expect them to have that as part of their growth journey. If they don't have it already, they may have a great deal, but it should also be part of their own addressing the SDGs. Addressing SDGs is not a tick box exercise. It's a reality. And the way the funds look at it now, the way companies do it, well, we as angel investors also do it. And these are the types of important elements that I think we can bring in the investing journey. So sharing the information, sharing the experience, sharing the successes and the failures, and just meeting up like this and showing that, throughout Africa, from north to south, east and west, I mean, we're representing all of these elements right here on the screen. It is, we're there actively trying to make sure that they get their spot in the sunlight.
Yeah, well, one of the things we do at Rising Tide, if you see a good deal, and we want to do, and representation is maybe head of HR or something, and we give them some sort of nudge or precondition that within the next 6 months you have to have one of your management team as female, and not just anyone just to put a we have also want to look at who you are putting there, so that's where we're trying to push, and within Rising Tide also, if you do lead a deal, and there is a space for us on the board or as an advisory board, the lady that leads the team becomes the representation of Rising Tide on the board advisory. We just, on the continent now, we are beginning to share deals. And that is another way. I don't know if any of you have shared deals with any of the other female angel networks or other networks on the continent, and what has the experience been? Let me start with Alex.
So yes, we've done a number of deals, also collaborating with multiple angel groups, and I don't think it's only something that is particular to women networks or kind of female-led businesses. I think one of the advantages of COVID, if there are any, is that we have become more, I think, more comfortable in building relationships online and in interacting with one another, and in really starting to look at collaborating on multiple deals. So just like Isabel, joining 535 Ventures, which is fantastic. And if you look at that kind of board, it's really, really diverse. So I think one of the great things is this kind of increase in collaboration between multiple parties. It still is quite tricky. It's still quite difficult to kind of get everyone to kind of agree on terms and figure out jurisdictions and get everyone around the table. I think there's still a little bit of coordination, and sometimes it might feel like herding cats to get deals done quickly. But it is wonderful to also have a situation where you have almost too many people wanting to collaborate on deals and to get involved, rather than kind of really scrabbling to try and fill around. So I think that's something that's really encouraging, is that there has been all this collaboration.
Duja, I'd like your thoughts on that as well.
Sorry, Yemi?
Yeah, I said I'd like your thoughts on that as well.
Okay, so actually, yes, we are looking for deals. We have like our next committee in November, I think. We already sourced around 10 projects. We are looking to and women, all of them are women, and they come to us very, how to say, easily, I mean, because this is there, as I told you. And yeah, what we are trying also is to collaborate with VCs. Because sometimes the amount of the investment needed is important. So we try to have like several financial mechanism to support them. And I think that we will have like 1 or 2 deals by the end of this year.
Okay. And Isabel, you know, one of the things that we hear most often is there is the issue of access to finance. How do we raise funds? Where do we find investors? And sometimes you hear there are no female, good female deals in the pipeline and all of that. What has your experience been in trying to, you know, resolve all of those issues in your ecosystem?
Well, as I said, in my ecosystem has been a bit peculiar because we've had, it just so happens that we've had women, and some of them were more prominent, some of them were less prominent, some of them were only women companies, some were male and female. So I don't know if, once again, I don't know if there's just a recipe except sharing about the good stories, and perhaps we could work a bit on highlighting what have been the positive elements in the company's story about having this diversity in its equity, because you always have the different personalities that make the team. And, you know, we always say how the team is what makes the company so that it can execute, and how perhaps the women have been or the driver in making that happen in the right way. And so not just one recipe. What I think is, you know, we were talking just now about, you were talking about the VCs and the angels and so on. I think the VCs have a great advantage as using us because we are willing to give time, network, and so on. They should use us because it's already difficult for them to do these smaller tickets because it's expensive. We're doing all of this pro bono, and, you know, we do it because of passion, and that is, our passion is almost for free. And so so they should just leverage us. And at the same time, it would allow us to be in certain deals where they just kick us out because they say, no, we don't want any angels because they're too small. And then, so I think that there's a bit of a learning between the VCs and the angel communities about the real value we bring, the real networks and the door opening, because I hadn't met Duja before, but I now have a sister in Tunisia. So whenever I have a deal that makes sense, I'm going to reach out to her, and that's the way it's going to happen.
So deal sharing, that is very critical. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for giving us your time today. We've had 3 phenomenal women. Alexandra Fraser, co-founder and angel investor at Dazzle Angels. We've had Isabel Demela of More Angels, and Duja Harbi, co-founder of Damia Angels out of Tunisia. My name is Yemi Kerry, and I am the co-founder of Rising Tide Africa. Thank you very much for listening to us this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Yemi. Thanks, everyone.